Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we've done a few replay analysis as of late. So today we're going to be talking about one overlooked hero for each position. So in total, 5 underrated heroes in this current meta that you guys can consider picking to dominate your pubs. You know, I've been watching a lot of pubs and this meta is really diverse. I'm actually enjoying Dota a lot right now. I think almost every hero can be picked. Like, there's a huge variety in terms of carries, in terms of mids, offlaners. At least that's what I've seen, you know? Obviously, there's always the top meta picks and blah, 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 but it feels like you can play a lot of different heroes. And the heroes that I'm about to list off, if played in the way that I recommend, can actually be extremely devastating, and opponents likely won't see it coming due to the fact that a lot of these builds are newer or simply just better than they were in the past and very popular right now. So stay tuned and let's get into it. If you're excited for this, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, you know the deal. Go get your GameLeap sub right now. We put a lot of effort into every single video. Just made a cool new map awareness and teamfight awareness guide over on the website. It's not out yet, but it's going to be coming soon. It was an offhand silencer game I played. Woo! I'm burning myself out. All right, let's get into the video. All right, starting off at number 1 for our safe lane hero of the patch. You guys probably wouldn't have guessed what it is, but it's LYCAN. So yes, I will be straight up. LYCAN is the 4th lowest winner hero on Dota buff. But I made this call not too long ago on Bloodseeker, when Bloodseeker was the lowest winner hero in Dota, or a bottom 5 winner hero in Dota. I said, if the hero gets one more buff, it will be broken. I feel that same way about LYCAN. I think this hero is on the tipping edge of being really strong, and if Valve you know, for whatever reason buffs it because it realizes, okay, this is one of the lowest winner heroes in Dota, I think if you are good at LYCAN, yes, it does require a little bit of micro, it does require an understanding of the hero, which I'll get into in a second, you can stomp. LYCAN is still one of the faster farming cores in the game. Wolves and your E still make you do some ridiculous amount of damage in the early game to creeps. On top of that, the most notable part about LYCAN to me right now is his ultimate. His ultimate, in my opinion, is in a pretty good spot. The duration is 28 seconds. 28 seconds of shapeshift. In the past, literally, I think at level 1 in old patches, it was like a 16 or 18 second duration. It is 10 seconds longer now. At all levels, it is ridiculously good. Now, I will be honest, LYCAN has one main issue, and I will break down how I think you should play this hero in a second. He has one main issue. He doesn't really scale too well into the mid game. This hero is a very 20 to 30 minute timing oriented hero that is a right clicker. You heard me correct, it is a right clicker. So your E obviously gives you right click damage. It's 48% bonus damage, and that's a lot. It's a lot of bonus damage, and so you take advantage of that. What you buy is you buy treads, right? Just a little bit of attack speed to farm, makes you a bit tankier. Good with your ultimate, right? Because you already have movement speed, you don't necessarily want phase, you just want some attack speed. So you get your treads, then you get an Echo Saber, then you pick up an armlet, and then you go BKB. Also, Mask of Madness is fine as well. However, this hero definitely has armor problems in the early stages of the game. Yes, you can buy armlet to sort of deal with that, but I think the Echo Saber is relatively necessary. Being able to slow someone down with LYCAN is kind of nice, which it seems weird. It's like, oh, but you have, you know, your ultimate. Why would you need to slow someone down? It's just, I don't know, you just get kited. You have no good, I mean, your wolves are slow now, but it's only by 15%, which is nice. That was very recent. That was 2 patches ago they added that. So all in all, LYCAN, you know, he's getting buffed here and there. The hero's getting buffs, like here and there, here and there. It's up to 44%. And one thing I will say is that in the highest of MMR brackets, right, Divine and Immortal, the hero is currently at a 49% win rate. So I'm not saying that this hero is broken right now. It's not broken, but it has a lot, and I mean a lot of potential. Next up on the list, our number 2 hero is Nature's Prophet. Yes, as a mid laner. I know I've been harping on him for a bit now. I made a video on the level 25 talent and why I think it's mildly broken, but I will stick to that. I think that this hero as a mid laner is really strong. The laning stage is extremely reliable. It loses almost no mid lanes, right? It's a really good laner. On top of that, it has some of the best level 6 spike in the game, right? You hit level 6 on this hero, and side lanes get decimated. Absolutely decimated. Prophet's ulti does about 400 to 500 damage at the max bounce at level 1, and if that hits, you know, anyone in the early game, I mean, they're dead. They're basically dead. And so on an 85-second cooldown, you essentially can guarantee a side lane a double kill if you have the right lanes. So do keep in mind, if you pick Prophet as your mid laner, highly recommend having other heroes that don't necessarily need as much space, I recommend picking side laners, heroes like Jug, you know, maybe a hero like Troll, who can have a better laning stage, not through the lane, right? He can slow when you're TPing in, right? He can help out with the TP. Razors, heroes like this, I think they're all really nice with profit. Even Tiny, right? Hero like Tiny safe lane, Tiny off lane, as weird as it is, I think it can be pretty legit in this context. And so, really what you're going for here is you have a good laning stage, good early game, you get your team off to a good start, and then you're just playing split push, split push, split push. Yes, you show up for kills, but you're only playing numbers advantages. Guys, here's the key to profit right now. You're only pushing in waves and jungling until you are 100% sure when you TP into an engagement, when you TP into that fight, you have at least some sort of a numbers advantage or extreme net worth advantage. It's gotta be one or the other. Your hero does not add that much to fights. Yeah, your ulti is good in the early game, but as the game goes on, obviously your spells don't inherently do much damage or much in a fight. Sprout's sometimes okay, depending on if they bought a quelling or have tangos. But you get my point, right? You get my point. It's all about farming. That is why Profit's highest win rate is in the higher tier brackets, because low MMR players simply don't farm enough. They don't split the map well enough. If you guys watched my recent videos on the Herald and Guardian brackets when I was talking and flaming and coaching those players, you will notice that that is largely what I talked about. I talked about how the players did not push in lanes, they didn't farm, they didn't take advantage of any space, force any rotations. Profit is good at that. And if you can get to this level 25 talent, I cannot stress how good it actually is. Game after game after game, I have managed to take Rax and then the throne very briefly after hitting the 25 talent, and here are the items you want to go. You want to go Treads, into Wand, into an Orchid. You can start with a Blightstone, Tangos, and Branches, by the way. Then you go into an Orchid, after that into a BKB. I think Midas is honestly okay if you're really planning on not fighting, like you're just hardcore dodging. You can go Midas before Orchid or after. I personally prefer it after, just because I think the Orchid is too good of a timing. The Orchid is basically like a better Midas if you can use it properly. You can just get a pick off here and there. It's like a really good item to get earlier and earlier into the game before the purges come out, before people become too tanky to be solo killed. And so, yeah, I recommend you aim for those timings. So after the Orchid, Midas, and BKB, what you're going to go is an AC, then into a Deso, and you kind of just split up the map. It's really ridiculous how much you actually do. Next up, as an offlaner, this might be the most devastating hero of the patch. You guys might have also noticed that Brood also just got nerfed. Yes, this hero, even though almost no one was playing it, at least no one in my pubs were playing it, this hero has one of the highest immortal win rates of all heroes, 57%. And by the way, it doesn't get much worse the lower you go down. It really doesn't. Yeah, the hero's a little bit hard to play. It requires you to cast a lot of buttons, know how to build up spiders, micro a little bit. It's a split pushing intensive hero as well, which is a difficult concept to master in Dota. But if you get good at Brew right now, the hero can build up spiders so quickly. And really, what I love about it is that you don't have to take spiders in the lane anymore. And therefore, you can take webs and your lifesteal, or webs and Silken Bola, and then you have multiple forms of healing when you have your lifesteal and your webs, right? The webs gives HP regen, then you have your lifesteal. So all of a sudden, Brood becomes a much more sustainable laner. In the past, at level 1, level 2, a lot of heroes could dominate, deny a lot of creeps, kick her out, but I think Brood is a little bit better in that regard as well. Still not great at level 1, level 2, I will be honest. Like, the hero still struggles a little bit early on. The key to getting off to a good start as Brood is just to not try to do too much. You like to pick her into heroes like PA who simply don't do that much to you early on into the lane, right? Certain matchups like a Sven AA where they could stun you into another stun can get pretty bad for Brood. But here's the build. Well, there's a couple of builds, right? There's a couple of different builds. So there's a Solar Crest build. The idea here is Solar Crest is a broken item, spiders do physical damage, you do physical damage, you Solar Crest your opponent, get on top of them, eat them up. That's your first item, right? You don't even have to go boots on Brood. Then, the other first item that you can buy is Orchid. This is a very, very common item on Brood right now. Orchid is still as cheap as ever, right? Cheap as the item has ever been. And yeah, it's just another item you can go to solo kill people. And you're probably seeing the trend here with the first two items. It's a lot of solo kill items. And then the third build you can go is very different, but a fascinating one, which is the Mech Pipe build. You heard me correct, Mech Pipe. And largely what you do is, number one, you play around the spiders, especially if they don't have good ways of killing the spiders. You go this Mech Pipe build, You provide your team with an insane amount of auras, which come online incredibly early. Brood is obscenely good at farming. This hero is one of the fastest farmers in Dota. It really is, probably top 5, top 10, something like that. And then you build all these auras, and all of a sudden your team just has a pipe and a mech, as well as these spiders that do an insane amount of damage, especially when combined with the bonus damage you get from Silk and Bola, right? Amps the damage of all the units. And so Brood is in a good spot. This hero might be broken. I'm being real with you. It might be broken. It literally might be broken. So if you're an offlane player looking to stomp pubs, cheese out some wins, Brood is a hero for you. Coming in number 4 is SKYWRATH Mage. All you gotta do is don't buy any items besides Atos. Okay, besides starting items, maybe you can go like Sage's Mask and a Bassi, get a little bit of mana regen going, some tangos, maybe some branches to trade at level 1, level 2, that type of vibe. But other than that, you are rushing Atos. Atos. You just solo kill people. The reason why I like it in particular this patch, even though that hasn't really necessarily changed with SKYWRATH, besides the fact that I just think Atos is in a good spot, and so is SKYWRATH. I really love the Silence Max with the ulti build. The reason why I like SKYWRATH is he's really good with a lot of the meta offlaners right now. We're seeing a lot of Underlord, we're seeing a lot of Axe, a lot of Centaur, especially the Axe and the Centaur, even Tidehunter. These heroes with these low cooldown stuns, paired up with SKYWRATH, it is so hard to lane against. The laning stage is brutal. SKYWRATH Axe, SKYWRATH Centaur, so much pressure, and it really works out well, right? The Axe, the Centaur, they push up on the front line, they tank the damage, they initiate, they do the stunning. SKYWRATH follows it up, he amps up their magical damage, their spell damage with his silence. It does so much damage, it's really hard to deal with. And in the mid game, it's nice, because, for instance, I literally just played with a SKYWRATH Axe in a pub, right? Just played with this combo with my friends, and I had to lane Timber mid against the Necro. Not a good matchup. The Necro was obviously doing well against me, he was beating me, it was very hard. And there's a high chance in your average game, with no Necro counters, he's just gonna get off to some crazy good start, because we might not be able to burst him. But with the SKYWRATH and an Axe, we called him up into like 1500 damage worth of magical damage, including my spells as well, and boom. All of a sudden this hero with some incredible start is out of the game and feeds all of his gold. On top of that, comeback gold right now is insane. If you're down on net worth and you get a kill, the amount of gold you get is ridiculous, and SKYWRATH and Axe, no matter how far behind they are, you could have 0 net worth on SKYWRATH, but if you're level 6, level 7, you can just blow someone up and come back into the game. And finally, last but not least, is maybe the most popular position 5 of the pro scene right now, and that is Ancient Apparition. I've been saying it for a while. This hero is definitely underrated. It's not a very popular hero, at least in terms of pubs, but damn is it good. I've been thinking for a while that AA's ultimate is just simply one of the best spells in Dota. Like, a lot of position 5s, it kind of takes them a while to do stuff. Like, for instance, Lion, yeah, you get a kill, but then you have to wait 3 minutes. AA's ultimate is like a 30-second cooldown, and I know you're probably like, Speed is a 40-second cooldown, but by the time you let it go, right, by the time you shoot it out and then release it, it's ticking the entire way there, right? The cooldown's already going, and therefore you have an ultimate basically on a 30-second cooldown, and it insta-kills a lot of people. Like, certain heroes like Slark, even though it's a playable matchup, Slark, Necro, Timber, these heroes that typically are mildly unkillable in the early game just are food. They're food. They just die. Like, even Axe, who's not like necessarily some giga heal hero, just pops if AA's on the other team. Now, yes, his laning stage is not the best, but frankly, it's very hard to pressure the laning stage right now. Like, it's tough to crush people, and so, yeah, you're not gonna, like, hardcore win most of your lanes, even though if the enemy team doesn't buy enough regen, doesn't buy enough sustain, AA does a lot of chip damage. Chilling Touch does a lot of damage over time, and Cold Feet is also nothing to scoff at, especially if you can manage to get the stun off with another stun in your lane or another slow or a gank from a mid laner. It really is that good. And the last thing I'll say about AA is Ice Vortex. His W is ridiculously good. Even if it's not necessarily what you're going to max first, a lot of supports that I've been seeing put like 3 points in their E and 3 points in their Q, and then they max out the W. Some actually just straight up max the W. There's a couple of differing builds. Kind of just depends on how much magical damage your team has. Like, if your team's all magical damage, I think maxing the W is more reasonable. But yeah, it's just so much damage. It's just so much damage. 30% spell amp at max, 30%. Combine that with a Veil, your team is doing like 40% almost extra magical damage. I mean, you can imagine why people can't live. They just die, right? They just die, and it's fun. It's a lot of fun. So go pair it with some magical damage heroes like Puck, Pugna. That one's hilarious. That combo's hilarious, and you're gonna do really well. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what heroes you think are overlooked right now. Some underrated heroes that you think are really good in this patch that I didn't cover in today's video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out. Peace. And that's all, but remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.